For the high school, marking period 1 ended last Tuesday, and service day will be this Wednesday. Also, the Red Cross blood drive will be the Red Cross Club will be holding a blood drive on December 2nd from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So contact Ms. Young if you would like to donate or anything.
Thank you. And we move on to the superintendent's report and our student spotlight.
Good evening, everyone. I'd first like to call up Principal Knapp. She's going to do our Bartle Student Spotlight, so we're really excited to hear about the students that you'd like to showcase.
So I am thrilled to be here tonight. We are actually honoring 3 of our 5th grade students. So I would like to start off with Jalea. So I am excited to spotlight Jalea tonight. I want to share when I was looking for students to spotlight, I sent it out to the staff and got nominations. So I would like to share what Miss Maiden wrote about Jalea. Jalea is kind, friendly, cheerful, and always tries her best. She genuinely enjoys working in groups. She cooperates with everyone and makes everyone feel comfortable. She actively participates in the Peaks and Valleys program and is a role model to everyone else that participates. She loves Bartle and respects Bartle's beliefs. I could not agree with Miss Maiden more. Jalea is a wonderful Bartle Dolphin. She is kind, she is responsible, she's respectful. She is extremely deserving of this honor. She is a model student who works hard and does her best each and every day. I am so proud of you, Jalea.
I don't know, I see a tattoo. No, I'm sorry.
Well, our next student was George Hernandez. Miss Young said Miss Shalari could not wait to spotlight George. And here's what they had to say about him. George is a positive peer influence and leader in the classroom. Although he is quiet, his actions speak volumes. George is inclusive to everyone in his classroom and in the school. He makes everyone feel welcome. He is kind, respectful, and responsible. When a student does not have a partner, he always invites them to join his group. He also helps his peers when they are struggling and keeps his neighbors on task and focused. George never gives up and advocates for himself and others. I am so proud to honor George tonight. I know he will continue to do great things at Bartle School. And our last spotlight is Adam Mustafa. Our next honoree is Adam Mustafa. Miss Nelson recommended Adam to be honored because she is so excited about the progress he has made in ESL this year. He is like a sponge. He learns everything and asks for more. He already speaks 2 languages, Japanese and Arabic, and is now learning English. He is very communicative, often using creative ways to express himself with his limited English. He works extremely hard and has already exhibited so much growth this year. We are so proud of Adam and can't wait to see what else he accomplishes this year.
Thank you, Ms. Knapp. Would you mind delivering our certificates? Oh, thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to the next portion of my presentation, although Ms. Knapp and family, you're more than welcome to stay for this riveting presentation, but feel free to leave if you'd like. I always make that an option. I'd like to call up our tech coordinator, Stephen Lubis, to help me co-present tonight. And then just give us a couple minutes to set things up here. So Stephen, I'm gonna all right, I'm gonna plug in here. So that way, am I plugged in?
Oh, I have plugged
Oh, well, because I have to show people at home. They're not gonna be able to see if I'm not close. Unless. Like, let me, okay, oh, we're almost, all right, hold on. How do I, hold on, give me 1 second. How do I? Okay, you figure this out. All right. Darcy, thumbs up if you can see a screen. Okay, fantastic. All right.
Open up this one right here. This one's
You want
probably
this one?
the biggest.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Okay, you
Yeah,
just go
that
right
works.
that way? Okay. All right, so, I don't know where the wireless mic is, Stephen, or maybe you come by grab a mic.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
grab this one right here.
All right, so Steve and I are very excited to share the launch of our new website and app. So we're going to officially do our soft launch next week, but we wanted to present it tonight. So if anybody was interested in getting the app and looking at it, we're still building the content, but we wanted to show the app and maybe some of the highlights of what you should see in the website to come. So Stephen, I'll let you take it away and I'll fill in as needed.
Yeah, so right now, this is a soft launch, but we were so excited through this progress and how everything is just going so beautifully that we had to show you. We had to show you. It should be officially, whether it's hbschools.net, the app, just side note, the app is in the App Store. So if you have an iPhone, you can download it now in the App Store, or an Android, you can go to the Play Store. So this is the sneak peek. This is some of our promotional material. It's basically HP Schools in your pocket. And you can take it anywhere. Want to look at a board meeting, today's meeting, lunch schedule, calendar, links to the parent portal, everything. Everything will be available in this app. And the site itself is a complete overhaul. And we're just super excited to share this with you. And I think it's, compared to what we had website-wise and no app at all, this is just one more thing to bring the school district and the community closer. Especially, I mean, I don't have to tell you, communication is so important. And just a parent have the ability to have the app right there, it's gonna make a big difference. So, yeah, please download it. Any feedback?
Yeah, the App Store, if you just start typing Highland Park Schools or Highland Park, it should come up. It even has the little owl logo. That's how you know it's the right one. It's like a little white app with the little owl logo. All the people at home there. There's a little app that I have downloaded. What's really nice too is that it'll do a lot of push notifications as well. So if there's an alert, like a text message, something like that, it pops up through the app, which is really nice. So it's sort of one-stop shop for everything. Same thing, we get emails a lot on like the lunch menu and things like that. It'll be that one-stop shop for the relevant information. And something that we talked about as a board and as a leadership team in the tech department was really having a separation between the app and the website. So they have similar information, but the accessibility and functionality of the app works for members of the school community. So if you're a student, a parent, a staff member, the app is going to be your go-to place for all relevant school information. We're looking at the website as more of everybody else. If you're a prospective family that wants to come in Highland Park, the website would be where you find that information. If you're a prospective, if you are a prospective staff member that wants to come work in Highland Park, you would go to our website. So we're looking at the website more for that piece of communication, as our marketing, as our brand, and then the in-house communication as the app, just so it separates it. Because some people that are, if you're a new family, do you care about the lunch menu right away? Not as much, unless you're really looking for a district that has a good lunch menu. The the access to the information is different, and we really wanted to separate the two. So I wanted to share you, this is, again, we are in the, still trying to launch the website, but I did want to give you a sneak peek since you're here tonight.
I think another important thing is, you know, just because it's new, you know, that was, a new website, yes, was important to us, but having everything laid out and accessible. And you're gonna see everything is cleanly laid out, there's nothing that's buried, everything can be right in front, very easy to navigate.
And there's so much to highlight. And
Yeah,
I'm so
I'm
excited.
sorry, we'll get very
But
excited about
even
this.
all of our notifications, the text message, the
Yes.
emails, the notifications goes out in a ton of different languages.
Countless
You can,
tons.
and it can push the notification out for the language that a family has set up. In Genesis, it can
It was
push.
2 languages
Yeah,
initially.
so right now, if you see my communications, it's English and Spanish, unless you have a translate option yourself. But in this particular platform, it can go out in pretty much anything that Google Translate offers. It can go out of that too. So we're really trying to increase our communication. There's so many really great features, but we wanted to highlight a couple for you and kind of give you a sneak preview of what's coming next week, since we won't have a board meeting until after we launch. So I just wanted to give you a little back end of what the website's going to look like. I'm only going to show the district website because I know the schools are still building.
Mine's good.
I heard good stuff about the middle school in Bartle, good content coming. So we'll still have our slideshow of the stuff that we like to highlight, the pictures and things like that. We'll have some quick buttons for some quick links, and each school will have links that represent what they need quick access to. We'll have our news feed, which will have some highlighted articles and information.
But the news feed also gets pushed across multiple platforms. So not everybody, one parent might be a Twitter user and not an Instagram user. When we push this, it goes to all of them. So there's no missing out on the social media aspect.
And for any of those that follow the district's Facebook page, if you see posted by and it says Apogee, that's what I've been using. So on the back end, I push it out, and I push it out as a live feed. So if you can see, we believe you should save every sweet stage forward. So this was pushed out on the Facebook live feed, and all the platforms all at one time. So it's one-stop shop to get the information and quick access. So the live feed, which is good, the news, and then the events and calendar.
You know, scroll all the way to the top just to see how the menu drops. So if you hit like menu, as you can see right there, everything is, there's a little board, information, documents about a department. I mean, it's just laid out right in front of you, opposed to the previous site where you'd have to go dig it. Yeah.
Yeah, go dig. So
Yeah.
we're trying to make it a little bit more user-friendly. We tried to work with each other to determine how an end user was going to use it. So if the district site, like I said, is now going to be for prospective families, prospective staff, you know, people that are researching the district, they're probably going to want district information first, maybe board information second, like staff resources is probably like the last thing they're looking for, but it'll be present on the app when you go to the app. That's a key button on the app, because I know my staff are going to want their resource links more quicker access than they probably would on a website. So we try to think logically in terms of how an end user was going to use the app versus how an end user was going to use the website, if that makes sense. Okay, so questions? Not really formal presentation, we're just some ideas of what we have going on here.
I have a quick question about the movies as well. So are you, this is just really amazing. I'm so happy to see this app and the development of the website, the peak here. Really exciting. My question is about your last point. So does that mean that the website is not going to have any features for parents anymore?
No, we
Like
still
you
have all
to-
the features.
Okay, so they're going to have them both places,
Yes.
but you said that's really not kind of the priority on your end in terms of the
Correct.
website.
We really want everyone to, so we're gonna push out some marketing material to really market the app for our families and staff and students as well.
But they still have full access.
But they still have
to all
access, full
information.
access, yes.
Yeah, the information will be complete, but the app is more of a personal experience. For example, there's a snow day, alert with notification right on the phone, right on the app. So it's more like the app is more made personally for the district. Yeah, but all the information in regards to will be newsfeed, yeah, everything.
Both places. either way.
Yeah.
That's what I said, in both places, so like the staff or the parents, your resource is still on the website, but it's like right there on the app versus where, you know, where am I going on the website to find what I need? It's, right, more customized on the app.
Although this must be so much easier to find websites, which is great.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
right, that's huge. Thank you.
Quick question? I'm thrilled, this is beautiful. The
Oh,
app, I
yeah.
just downloaded it.
Yeah, look at that.
Is it, just to be clear for the public, is it still being built out, right? Like, I don't see the.
Oh, this is a soft launch. Again, I
Oh,
guess
okay.
just, you know, Thanksgiving was coming up and
Yeah, yeah,
Dr. Nikoski and I were talking. I don't know, like, this doesn't sound kind of cheesy, but we were super excited to share with everybody.
It's
Just
great.
going through the process, so, we took the opportunity today to kind of
Awesome.
soft launch it. Yeah, but by next week, content will be more prominent. The buildings, individual buildings will post what they're doing. So, yeah, you'll definitely notice.
We'll have like Genesis on the calendar and stuff like that.
Yep, it's all
Yeah,
there.
It's
absolutely.
not there yet, but I think it will be.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you, thank you. I just want people to get it, download it, and be like, where's
Oh,
the
yeah,
calendar?
please,
No,
yeah.
it's all
Okay.
it's all one.
Oh, it's just gorgeous.
Awesome. Least of all, that still makes me feel good, was our main goal for the year was reading it, more goal, engage the community in more productive communication, including website enhancements. You've gone above and beyond that goal.
Yeah, you can definitely cross that off. You can cross it off right now. Yeah. Dr. Nikosi was pretty amazing. She made sure whether it's, language, there's no walls built. There was language, no matter what phone you have, you'll understand what's going on in the district.
I'm assuming
There's
it's
no-
accessibility in terms of things being read to you versus reading.
Yeah, actually,
Oh,
that's another
that was
thing
a big thing
that's
too. It
huge.
wasn't on the previous site, so if you have visual impairments,
Right.
they're able to use the
Oh, good.
accessibility on their, yeah. So
And everything is compliant, like you can't post anything, and Jen's shaking her head, yes,
Yeah,
hold on to
same.
this, and you can't post anything, you can't do anything without hitting the ADA compliant thing. Like you literally can't press save and do anything until you hit all of those things, which we really love about this.
Yeah.
It's easier for everyone to manage instead of, I know we've talked about having one person
Yeah, it's a lot.
manage all of that. It's very possible for me as, I guess, the webmaster or Stephen as a tech coordinator to do all of that. So this is really nice because they really built it in that you cannot click or post anything unless it meets the ADA compliance, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Does that include all text on all
Yeah.
images and transcripts on
everything.
videos? So I'm wondering if staff has received any sort of support and, I guess, instructions on how to create alt text. I mean, this is not an intuitive thing, alt text.
Yes,
as opposed
so
to
during Apogee, during the company's training, they did tell us, so describe the picture, and they did it, all the time with us. And as we post our things, they look on the back end and give us that feedback to make sure that we're doing it
wow.
appropriately.
That's great.
Their training is remarkable, and then they video record all their trainings too, and stuff like that. It's remarkable. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been incredible to work with, and we can see why most school districts in New Jersey use Apogee. It's, I mean, they know exactly how to fine tune their product to a school district, so it's been exciting to get this ready for everybody, especially, I mean, the previous one just, it's overdue, so, yeah.
They've been jury-rigged over the years.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
Any
great
other
news.
questions?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you, and everybody have a good Thanksgiving. You too.
All right, so that's the end of my presentation. Again, I'm going to say that we are moving on to the rest of our agenda items. So if you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting or public comment or anything like that, please feel free to leave. I know Ms. Nab and Mr. Lubis have long days ahead of them tomorrow, and Wednesday being a half day. So thank you so much for coming and happy Thanksgiving.
We're going to move on to board committee reports and recommendations. So curriculum and instruction. Allison, are you reporting for that committee?
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Dr. Nicosia, Dr. Coleman, and I met on the 15th of November for a curriculum committee meeting. Item number 1 that we discussed was the Healing Centered Engagement Project. The high school received a grant to
be a part of the New Jersey Principal Superintendents Association's Healing Center Engagement project, which provides training and support on ACEs, trauma-informed schools and practices. Staff volunteers for training and to implement the strategies. There's going to be a coach that will support the school, and there will be additional support for community engagement gatherings and additional resources. Rutgers Behavioral Health and Teen Center will potentially be collaborative community engagement partners, possibly also Seth Dale's organization as well. We also discussed the high school graduation credit proposal as might require or will require a policy change. But we are waiting for Mr. Lassiter to finalize his proposal and schedule a formal presentation. The high school and middle school club demographics were provided. We looked at the middle school clubs. We did not have sports data, so we really only had club data. When we looked at the data, it pretty much affirmed our thinking that Black and Hispanic or Latina students did not have as many students participating in clubs and extracurriculars. We also discussed how there previously at the high school had been a policy to not allow culture clubs, but we now have an Asian culture club, and students have inspired staff members to start an African American culture club as well. So that should be in the works and coming shortly. Additionally, we discussed mentorship activities, and we suggested having periodic updates on those. For example, we had Sisters in the Know at Bartle, which wound up being phased out due to delayed grant funds and a failure to deliver materials to the school. But on the other hand, Brothers at Bartle has been very successful, so it's been scaled up to the middle school. And we discussed the High School Leadership Academy for 10th and 12th grade students. Miss Lane is running this. She's working with the Wellspring Center for Prevention, and it's going to provide leadership training for students. Students volunteer or are recommended by staff members, and we talked about prioritizing representing the diverse community that we have here in Highland Park. And our policy to review is the new HIB policy, the updated HIB policy. So that is going to be reviewed for changes. It's a long one, so we're working on it. The items for the agenda. Number 1 is approval for field trips requests, which are attached to the agenda. Approval of HIB reports, incident HS 222303, HS 222304, MS 222302, ES 222301. The approval of the volunteer for the Green Team Climate Crew, Jessica Josak will voluntarily coordinate the Green Team Climate Crew. Approval for the after-school recreation program at the middle school. Number 5 is approval for the placement of a change of placement for a student teacher from middle to high school. Number 6 is the approval for 3 university students for their teaching internships and junior practicums. Number 7 is approval for home instruction for 3 students. Number 8 is approval for the submission of school self-assessment for determining grades under the Anti-Bullying Bills of Rights Act. And I guess I move this now? No, later. Okay, we'll vote after our reports. No, but I mean, it's written there, so I was confused. Okay, that's it.
Questions for Allison Curriculum? Thank you very much. We move on to Equity and Excellence report.
Yes, Equity and Excellence also met on November 15th, and we started with a look at the AP Honors data from 2021 and 2021-2022 school year compared to this school year. And then we discussed just some of the highlights, particularly, again, looking at our underrepresented groups that has been the focus, or that have been the focus of the Accessibility AP Honors Access Committee. A couple of the highlights we noted were that there were very minimal gains in the honors classes across the underrepresented groups, with the exception, I believe, of students on free and reduced lunch. The percentage of students in honors classes in that demographic actually rose significantly between last year and this year, and I'm just trying to pull up the data so I can give you the percentages there, so I can have it in my notes. Last year there were roughly about 19% of students that taking honors were on free and reduced lunch, and this year that's at almost 25%, which again, those are the kind of trends we want to see. But with our Black and Latino students or Hispanic students, we saw a decrease for the latter group by about 5%, from 28% to 19%, and that's for Hispanic Latino students. And then for African American or Black students, a very minimal increase, 21% to 23%. Then we also looked at the AP data and found there some really interesting gains, considerable gains actually among our underrepresented students. And so just to give you an example, last year our African American and Black students represented sorry about that, hold on. Okay, 7% of the AP honors population last year, and this year, Black and African American students represent 13.46% of that population. And Hispanic and Latino students were roughly 15% last year, and now represent 19% of the AP honors AP student demographic. Our students free and reduced lunch taking AP honors were 11% last year and are now at 17%. So we just kind of talked about the successes that we're seeing in participation with those historically underrepresented groups in AP classes and what that might mean. So I know Dr. Nkoja talked about having the accessibility and honors committee just sort of taking a deeper dive at looking at that data and continuing to work on raising awareness of these options for students and the efforts to provide support through the cohort model. We also discussed the importance of checking in with the new students in the AP classes to see how they're doing and make sure that they're getting the support that they need so they can feel comfortable and find success in the courses. And let's see, Dr. Nkoja reported that AP Honors Committee is also preparing to advertise and market all of the courses during the upcoming winter season course selection process so that more students are aware of these options. We also talked again about, we actually looked at the staff demographic data as well. So Dr. Nkoja presented a lot of data. Thank you so much for getting back to us because we're always asking for data, and you brought it right back to us, so we appreciate that. So in this case, looking at the staff data, and we found, again, nothing that we didn't already know, but in terms of just underrepresentation, one of the data points that we highlighted is that 28% of our student population is Hispanic or Latino, compared to 8% of our staff. Asian students represent 17% of our population compared to 5% of our staff. Black students are 10% of the population, and Black staff are roughly 11% of the total staff. One caveat to this is that the staff data is inclusive of teachers, admin, para, secretaries, maintenance, basically everyone in the building. And so we just asked for follow-up data from Dr. Nkoja that looks specifically at the teaching staff and the kind of racial demographics of the teaching staff. To again, just look at how that compares to our student body. Again, we know that we have a lot of work in this area, but it just helps to know exactly what we're dealing with and what we need to focus on. And we also talked about, well, Dr. Nkoja just shared the governor's executive order, number 309, that was, that was announced literally, I think, the day before that we met, and it just lays out Dr. Murphy's plan to put together a task force to study the state's school staff shortage problem. So we will leave that there, but we know that there's going to be a committee studying the staff shortage problem. see what happens with that. And then we talked about the preschool expansion, 5-year plan suggestions that Dr. Nicosia is looking at with her administrative team. One thing that was shared with our committee is a sample plan from the Howell School District that has already kind of laid out their 5-year plan for preschool expansion on their website, and Dr. Nicosia reviewed that and shared it with us as well. Local child care centers are also being contacted to see who can possibly house our preschool universe. We're expecting around 250 students, I believe. So right now, again, administration is just looking at reaching child care centers, see who would possibly be able to house our students, and then arranging tours accordingly. And at that time, you're waiting to hear back from a few centers. Noah's Ark, we know, already indicated that they will not be able to take our students for this coming year. And then at this time, Dr. Nicosia just reported that the administration is really just in an active kind of research phase of trying to look at September 2023 as year 1 of implementation, but there are just a lot of moving parts right now with regards to number of students, transportation issues and concerns that need to be worked through, and obviously where the students will be housed. So a lot going on here in this initial phase of researching the possibilities, but there's a clear commitment to this, which I'm really happy to see. And even better is that we're really committed to equity. So Dr. Nicosia talked about centering equity as the district sort of works through the complicated issues involved in expanding our preschool program and in the development of the 5-year plan. And she will be seeking Equity and Excellence Committee's input as they move forward in that work. And I think that is all. Oh, well, the HIT policy. We know that we will be working on that jointly with curriculum, which is what I like, that we're always kind of having multiple hands on deck to address these important and hefty policies. Any questions?
Questions for me? We move on to Finance and Facilities Board.
Marilyn, thank you. I will try to speak up. So we went through these 2 weeks ago. I'm going to go over the ones we haven't. So we have 2 new bill list items, numbers 2 and 3. We have a cafeteria bill list item, number 6, just new dates to approve. Number 12, we have a new contractor. This is a contractor to help us with nursing services on a one-to-one student support during transportation per their IEP. Number 17 is the acceptance of another donation. So this is a donation of a trumpet and a clarinet worth $600 from Susan Jakovic. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And Ms. Jakovic, thank you so much for your donation to the schools. Number 26 is approval of replacement of district cafeteria computer terminals. This is point-of-sale terminals with Verizon Software International, a cost of $11,151 to replace outdated equipment. And this is going to not be funded by us, but at least directly by us, but funded by the Food Service Enterprise Program. So the money will come from our food services provider. We have 2 new out-of-district placements. Number 27B and 27C, a child to attend Collier Middle School, and effective November 14th for the remainder of the school year. And C is student to attend Morris Union Jointure Commission Developmental Learning Center for the remaining 130 days of the school year, effective today, November 21st. Number 29 is the approval of a settlement agreement. And that's a settlement agreement for a family which I think did trying to get the word right, preemptive, let us call it, placement. And so we worked out the details with them, and in at least one of these cases, maybe two of these cases, this won't cost the district any more than we're paying now. Number 30 is a pre-litigation settlement agreement, and number 31 is a settlement agreement as well, covering a student going out of district. Number 32 is an update to the agreement with the Source for Teachers. This is to increase the pay for substitutes and paraprofessional teachers, paraprofessionals, and clerical folks as the rates have started to go up. We were near the top, and now we're near the bottom, so we're rectifying that because it's very hard to get substitutes. Number 33 is the submission of a Sustainable Jersey Schools grant for $2,000 to support our Sustainable Farm Up Takeoff project. And I'll read it as a first phase of a broader educational initiative beginning at the high school to beautify and better utilize existing underused school space. And that's the agenda items we'll be voting on.
Thank you. Questions for Mark? Okay. Keep moving. We are on to personnel. Chris, you're up.
Okay, before I forget, there are two amendments on number 17. We're moving to remove the clause involving the stipend. And for number 16, the legal name is Kwesue L. Stern, Kweasue is the first name. Okay, so again, I'll just go over the items that have changed since last time. Number 3 is the resignation of our school psychologist, Amanda Campanaro. 16, we're very happy to welcome Ms. Stern as a full-time teacher of Chinese for the middle school, effective on or before January 20th, hopefully before that. Again, item 17 was amended. Item 27 has some additional professional development items. 34 is the approval of home instruction. 35 is approval of extension. This is the person who is helping us with the safety plan, and this will be at the same daily rate. Before we had approved 15 days, and now we're moving to approve 15 more. And 36 is the additional hours for Mrs. Landis to provide after-school support. Okay, that's it. Any questions?
I'm sorry, can you, 35, can you explain that again, the special assignment?
Yeah, Dr. Nicosia, do you want to?
Oh, sure, yes. So we had discovered that our safety and security plan was missing 91 critical elements for the agreement with the county department of our superintendents and the state for our statement of assurance that we were in compliance. It was a very, very heavy lift. So we hired a former staff member who used to be the assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction's administrative assistant, Elizabeth Pensinger, to help with creating that 264-page document to go back to the old school binder that my predecessor had it shortened down to a little manual, but it wasn't in compliance. If you remember the safety audit, that was one of our things that we were nabbed on, so to speak. So she worked through it. Actually, she is all done. She presented it today. It's printed, and the safety committee will review it and look at it next week. and then it will go to all parties involved. And now it's a Google Doc and it's a living doc, so now it's easy to change everything because it's electronic, everyone can have access, they can see it in real time. It'll go to the Office of Emergency Management, goes to the Highland Park Police Department, it goes to the County Superintendent, it goes to the Fire Department, and then internally as well to everybody so that they have the safety and security plan. Like I said, it's about 264 pages.
And she's not only doing the paperwork for that, but she's also coordinating and crossing as many items off the list as she can, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Just to clarify, we're actually striking 12 and 22, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we wanted to do that, Evan.
12 to 7.
So we're striking 12, but if you see in, hold on, 26, he's back on. So Mr. Farmer originally resigned from the position of middle school wrestling coach, but then after last meeting decided he wanted to do it. So we're excited to have him back on again. So we struck it earlier, but then added him back on 26.
Okay.
And on the other one is
Is that the sidebar?
the mediator.
Yeah, the sidebar right now is tabled. They're still in negotiations between the middle school administration and the union to actually decide on how much that would be.
Okay. It just made, I don't know if Chris has to change how he reads it in with those two being struck.
I don't know what do I do? Do I have to only move the numbers that are not struck? I don't know.
Right?
Okay.
Yes. Board secretary says yes.
Okay.
All right.
Last committee is policies. Mark, anything you want to say on this?
Well, there's nothing new. Numbers 1 and 2. The main purpose of that HIP policy, because I know both those committees are going to look at it in more depth. The policy committee did look at it. The main change was that form that we have to provide to the state. We don't have to use it internally. There were a lot of other wording changes that came down based on, I guess, clarifications from the somewhere in the state, DOE or the legislature. But I hope we can pass this for first reading, and then a month from now, it gives you enough time if you have changes to make. We can review them, put them in, and then get to a second reading of this. Other than that, nothing's changed.
Okay, then we move to public comment before we vote on board action items. So Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. Board Policy 0164 and 0167 establish and regulate the right of the public to participate in public meetings. So if you'd like to speak, and you're virtual, you'll raise your hand and identify yourself. We have at least one speaker in person, so we'll start there. Is a 3-minute time limit per speaker for this portion of public comment. So you can begin. Just introduce yourself and your address.
John Kovac, 206 North 3rd Avenue. Anti-Semitism is in town and in our high school. It is spreading rapidly throughout popular culture in the entertainment industry, sports, comedy, and elsewhere. As such, it is a metastasizing disease which, sadly, this Board of Education is fundamentally and ideologically incapable of addressing. What kinds of hate are the high school students who chanted Free Palestine and threatened the Jewish man on Halloween night hearing in popular culture? The answer is accusations that the Jews have illegitimately obtained power which they use to enrich themselves and to manipulate, cheat, and subordinate others, particularly in this day and age, other minorities. Hence, Kanye Ye West says, the Jewish community will take us and milk us till we die. Kyrie Irving promotes a film accusing Jews of being a fake people who culturally appropriated the religion and heritage of blacks. These accusations echo Louis Farrakhan, who said the Jews are guilty of Jim Crow and the laws that segregated us. And they're the same forces that are in Palestine right now telling Palestinians in their own land what roads they can travel on. The writer Andrew Sullivan talks about a demonizing rhetoric that identifies a racial group, attaches evil characteristics to it, ascribes those characteristics to individuals within the group, and sees their success as won at the direct expense of others. This is the rhetoric critical race theory applies to whites. And when applied to Jews, as often happens, it resembles the language of Nazism. This rhetoric allows for such atrocities as the Holocaust to be dismissed as, in the words of Whoopi Goldberg, white-on-white crime. What lies might those Highland Park kids have heard in town? That Jews are guilty of mass murder and genocide against Palestinians. That Palestinians are people of color victimized by white supremacist, racist, settler, colonialist Jews. Or propaganda from the hate group Jewish Voice for Peace, accusing Israel of training American police to brutalize African Americans. Or a statement from Black Lives Matter, #Free Palestine, calling for an end to settler colonialism. It is unsurprising that in this toxic environment, a group of our high school students felt entitled to harass and threaten a visibly Jewish man. It is no less surprising that this Board of Education, which brought critical race theory to our schools, which compels elementary school teachers to study a book that depicts English as the language of white supremacy, is part of the problem.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here that wants to speak?
Would it be possible for all three of us to speak, like, yeah?
Of course, come around.
Sorry, this is not too exciting.
Okay, take your time. I'm happy that you're here on stage. Okay. You can just put your names. You don't have to write your address.
Thank you.
Okay, no, I know. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adrian Schilling. My pronouns are he, they. I'm currently a senior at HBHS and I'm also the co-president of SAGA, the High School Sexuality and Gender Alliance. So our school has demonstrated continued support for the LGBTQ plus community, especially for transgender and gender nonconforming students with gender-neutral restrooms in the high school. In continuation of the support, a gender-neutral changing room needs to be implemented for students to use before and after gym class.
Hello, my name is Grace Bording. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm currently a senior at HPHS and am the other co-president of SAGA. In the high school gym, there's currently a girls' locker room and a boys' locker room. And across from it, an unused boys' bathroom that remains locked. We propose that this boys' bathroom be converted into a gender-neutral changing room, and our reasoning for this is simple. Gender nonconforming students feel uncomfortable and run the risk of being harassed when changing for gym class. This isn't just an issue of comfort, it is an issue of our student safety.
Hi, my name is Roy Crosby. I'm a junior at Highland Park High School, and my pronouns are they, them. When I walked into my gym class on the first day of school and learned that we would actually be asked to change our clothes for a gym this year, I was genuinely terrified. I wish you could have seen the look on my face, because I'm sure it was just the eyes, it must have been a bit funny, but in the moment, I felt sick to my stomach. Locker room choice has already been somewhat difficult for me in the past, but now I would actually have to undress around people who I, A, largely did not know, and B, also did not know that I was not the same gender as them, and I did not want to make other people uncomfortable. A very common problem for transgender and non-binary youth is the constant fear that you will be outed or you will be put in danger simply through living our lives truthfully. And that day, I ended up deciding to go into the girls' locker room because I generally get along better with the girls in my class and I have more friends there. And that has directly affected the rest of my life at school and the way that people view me. Because I was forced to make that choice, I've lost the ability to be seen as myself for the rest of this year. If I had had the ability to change the private area with no specific gender tied to it, this never would have happened and I would feel safer and far more comfortable
So in conclusion, it's imperative that gender-neutral changing rooms be introduced in the high school gymnasium for the sake of students' comfort and safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming forward and sharing with us. I admire your courage and your honesty. And I know Dr. Koji was taking notes. So we hear you. Okay, and beyond that, there's not more that we can say at this point. Thank you for coming forward and talking. Oh, please.
Oh, yeah, so I took detailed notes, so I have several questions actually about that. No, then I'm gonna ask administration, because I wasn't actually aware that they started changing for gym this year, because normally in the past, my knowledge was they didn't change for gym. So I have a bunch of questions on that I wasn't aware of, but also if that's the case, you know, to what degree was this brought to administration and how can we rectify it? So it's something that's really important to me. And hopefully Roy knows me by now to know that I'm a person of my word and we'll follow through with that. So we'll make sure we rectify that as soon as possible for you all. So thank you. And I want to echo those sentiments. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Thanks, guys. Is there anybody else online that wanted to make a public comment before we move on? Seeing none, then we are going to go on to voting. And Alvin, you want to move to curriculum and instruction?
For curriculum and instruction, I move items 1 through 8.
Second.
Yep.
Ms. Cassell-Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Simorusti?
Yes?
Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Gowan?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. Prus?
Yes.
Mr. Islevich?
Yes.
Mr. Whitford?
Yes.
And we go to finance and facilities.
Yes, I'd like to move items 1 through 33. I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Cassell-Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Simorusti?
Yes?
Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Gowan?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. Prus?
Yes.
Mr. Islevich?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes.
And we move on to personnel and communication.
Yes, I'd like to move items 1 through 11, 13 through 21 as amended, and 23 through 36.
That's a great way to do it. I'll second that.
Ms. Cassell-Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Simorusti?
Yes?
Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Gowan?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. Prus?
Yes.
Mr. Islevich?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes.
Okay, and last but not least, policies and regulations.
Yes, I'd like to move items 1 through 2.
Second. Ms. Cassell-Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Simorusti?
Yes?
Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. Prus?
Yes.
Mr. Islevich?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes.
Okay, the next on the agenda are the board liaison reports. I have reached out to the borough and slightly made these lists smaller. Committees that are not meeting in the borough should no longer be showing up on these lists. But people who are, committees who are meeting should be here, and representatives, if you have anything, let us know. I know that Dr. Koja has a couple of reports from staff for these meetings. You want to share those first, and then?
Sure, so I have one from the Municipal Alliance on behalf of Ms. Asamoah. They met on Tuesday, September 13th. They talked about Alliance funding updates, welcoming some new members and different grant opportunities. They shared out some committee reports on school prevention programs, updates on fall programming, and police prevention, and recap on the Police Youth Academy in town. They did a budget review and spending. They talked about their quarterly activity reports. And then for the grants, the Municipal Alliance Prevention Grants this year include a middle school prevention program for 6th through 8th grade, the Y Tri-curriculum, the high school youth leadership program for grades 9 through 12, for the Leadership Academy, and some high school peer-to-peer mentoring program, cannabis and vaping education, and the school prevention program, which is like wellness days, we're not buying it, parent social activities, social media nights, and hidden in plain sight. So I know that Ms. Asamoah does, some of these things sound familiar in plain sight and things like that. We do use a lot of the grant money that they have to help with the programming there. So I'm excited to see what opportunities Ms. Asamoah takes advantage of through the Municipal Alliance. And Ms. Rodriguez attends the public library meetings. So I think this past, it was November 11th, they were looking for volunteers to help with their children's clothing swap. But the roof continues to leak at the library, and they're continuing to work with the borough to remediate it.
No,
Sorry.
it never gets fixed.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm reporting out, yes, I do not cause the leak.
We're all like thinking the same thing.
Everybody around is like, what's wrong with that loop?
Okay, well, apparently the leak is still there and still continuing to work with the borough to remediate it, and they're hiring additional staff and working to approve next year's holiday calendar for the current staff. So those are the two reports that I have from
Thank you so much.
Elizabeth and Michelle.
Thank you.
Don't kill the messenger.
It's just like the roof seems like it's made of some kind of permeable membrane.
That's right. It's always-
Sorry.
And please fix the leak in the library. Anybody out there, please fix the leak.
Any other reports? Go ahead,
Yes, I have the Highland Park Education Foundation met on the 19th of October. Their items that they approved were in tonight's agenda. The next deadline is February 15th, and they would love to see some projects from high school. So if you're listening and you're in high school, they would like to see your projects.
From students?
Student representatives?
Well,
Back
the
here.
students would have to inspire the teachers.
The teachers.
Teachers, okay.
Teachers, yes.
Yeah, teachers. Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I just want to report that we received a suggestion from the Board of Health that we look into vape detectors in the bathrooms, and that's on the agenda for the Safety and Finance Committees.
Can I actually just follow up with that? Chris, do you know how many updates? I know I sent you an email. The condoms that were donated to the district before my time many years ago have now expired. And we don't want students to use expired condoms. They do take advantage of it, and they actually remarked if we were going to get more. So I'm not sure if a donation for more condoms is available.
Yeah, that was discussed at the last BOH meeting.
Okay.
I don't know, I don't have a follow-up
Okay.
about it.
Thank you.
Did we ever put dispensers in the bathroom as was requested a long time ago? Do you have any idea if that ever
I'm
happened?
sorry, the what?
Dispensers in the bathrooms?
That I don't know, because I don't think we approved purchasing of dispensers and installing them.
But not when you were here. But,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
I don't know, I could look.
Yeah, no, I really haven't been in there.
I'll look at I believe I know they were the nurse's office.
Oh, yeah, we had many discussions about
But
like.
I will look to find out where they are dispensed. I will get back to you.
Having to sign in at the nurse is a little awkward, you know?
I will find out where they are dispensed.
That's awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Quick question on that, so we can assume that the expired condoms have been removed?
They are removed, yes.
I don't know.
Thank
They have been removed and the students are looking for them, but we won't give them expired ones.
Yes, okay, thank you.
So we're looking for donations of condoms. Please and thank you.
It's important, yeah.
I had a quick comment from the Human Relations Commission, if that's okay? I'm under,
It's great.
it does not involve condoms. Let's see, here we go. I was asked just to spread the word. There is a community poetry workshop / jam on, when is it? Sorry, my computer's crashing. It's between 1 and 5 p.m. at Pino's, but on what day?
That'd be good to know.
Aha, December 10th. It's a Saturday, December 10th. 3 to 5 p.m., no, sorry, 1 to 5 p.m. at Pino's. You'll see signs up in town. This is probably not very useful for me to say. But board members, if you're interested, going to be a jam, read your poem, write your poem, workshop your poem. It's being run by Who's My Neighbor, and we did not have a Human Relations Commission meeting this month, but that was a request for dissemination of that info.
Thank you. Mark, did you have something?
Yeah. On November 12th, I believe, I spent a couple of hours at the New Jersey School Board's Delegate Assembly, which was interesting.
Hold on,
Are we done with liaison reports? No,
this
this
is
is part of
part of
the,
it.
oh, okay. This is the liaison reports.
And so it was hybrid. So I was home. There were about 60 people online and about 60 people in the audience in Trenton. And I'm glad I didn't drive to Trenton because what we heard was kind of disappointing. The new executive director, Dr. Purnell, gave a speech about all the stuff that the NJSBA does for us. And then he had his the DOE head of safety give a speech. His name is Jeff Gale, give a speech on all the things that DOE would do for us in regards to safety. But there was not really any meat. There were no resolutions, no real discussions, and I was disappointed, frankly. We spent all this money with them, and we had a nice marketing presentations on what they would do for us. So, very disappointing.
I think the issue there, Mark, though, is lack of engagement, on the part of boards across the country right now, just because everyone's kind of been in crisis mode, right? Like in the past, there would be multiple resolutions that districts would be putting forward, and now I think everybody's just kind of like trying to keep their head above water, honestly. And what I've heard about the new executive director is actually pretty positive. So, my hope is that the New Jersey School Boards Association will head in a positive direction under his leadership. I think things have kind of been somewhat stalled for quite some time. So I think they're kind of in flux and in, an organization in the midst of a big kind of sea change. So, I'm hoping as things kind of, return to some state of equilibrium and the new executive director gets his feet beneath him, hopefully we'll see some interesting stuff from New Jersey School Boards Association. The thing with them is always that we have to pay for them no matter what. Like it's in the state legislature, or it's in, state law that school boards have to pay dues to the New Jersey School Boards Association, whereas in other states, you only pay dues if you want their services.
Right.
So we're in this kind of weird position with them, so. Yeah.
He seemed engaging, and he was trying hard, but there was, and so I don't blame the new executive director. He simply had not much to say other than, please take our services, we're here to help you. And there wasn't much going on.
Yeah, without school districts engaging, there's not a lot to go on in a delegate assembly.
It's true.
Any other liaison reports? That was a good number. Okay. I have nothing for a president's report. Does anybody have anything on their old business?
I would just hope we'd spend a minute talking about the extremely exciting news that the funding is going to be maintained for our school-based youth services program, at least through the end of 2024. So that's something, and I actually just wanted to take a minute to thank Christina for everything that she did, sitting here in one of my last lame duck board meetings, as someone who's tended to be the person to go run to Trenton and engage our legislators and speak at committee meetings, it's remarkably reassuring to know that we now have somebody leading the district who's willing to take on that role and engage on that level. And I think this just shows how important it is. And it's just all better when it's coming from the district leader as opposed to, a nosy board member. So, I want to give Christina her due for that. and for the, you know, amount of advocacy she did around that. So thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah. It's an awesome op-ed, among other things that you did.
Yeah, so and thank you, Darcy, for hooking me up with Senator Guyton. I also, through his chief of staff, also connected with Vin Gopal, who's been a big advocate, Senator Gopal, from Vermont and Ocean counties for their school-based youth services program. So I was able to get in touch with him. You know, the fight, I'm so happy that we have an extension for the funding. It's a small win, but the bigger win will come on what happens next. I'm hopeful that they'll be able to create something that is equal to or exceeds what we have. However, based on what is currently out there, I'm not there yet with my thinking. But I do want to take the opportunity to figure out ways through finance and facilities and as a board that we can support trying to bring more of the mental health services program in our operational budget so we don't have to live year to year knowing if this funding is going to be cut or not. There is legislation also out there to maintain the school-based youth services program funding regardless of what happens with the hub and spoke models as well. So I'm watching a couple things very carefully, and thank you to Darcy for making some really good connections to continue advocating on behalf. So I'll take wins where we can get it, but just know it's still on my radar, and so you'll hopefully see some more action locally coming from myself and Ms. Asamoah. She'll be coming in December to present the state of our teen center and tween center and mental health support and SEL for the district in December, so something to look forward to as well. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
That's right, Doris.
I want to just add that Christina and Marilyn and I have been talking about creative ways to put this into the budget without affecting other programs and other staff members. And I think it's doable. I think it's eminently doable, and for the long term. So that's hopefully where we'll go, because I fear, this is every 2 years they're trying to take the money away. We have to make this permanent. We also have to have staff who don't feel like they're going to lose their jobs. That raises. So we will do something. We will do something to make this happen.
Thank you. Any other old business?
I guess I'd like to follow up on the comments that we talked a little bit in the executive session about doing some proactive anti-Semitism education. So I do hope the district will follow through on that. I mean, I know that we have so many issues around equity and around demonization of different groups and so on, but it is a scary time for people with Jewish families. It's scary. The culture is scary, it's really scary. So I hope to see something specific done. I don't know what that is, but.
Just to reiterate, I think we all agree that anti-Semitism is an enormous problem in society and in our community, and that's why we regularly pass resolutions about the importance of teaching about anti-Semitism. As recently as last summer, we passed a resolution about the importance of teaching anti-Semitism, among other things. It wasn't only about that, but we certainly agree.
Anything new for new business? And we are on to public comment. Our second public comment session, the Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. Board Policy 0164 and 0167 establish and regulate the right of the public to participate in public meetings. So, somebody left in our room. Is anybody virtually want to speak? Raise your hand. Seeing none, right? Then I move that we adjourn. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're done.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
That's right. That's right.
See you, Darcy.
Bye.